Welcome to the South Gallery, which we renamed Connie Licon Gallery. And this is a permanent exhibit of Kankakee County. We've had this for about 10, 12 years or so. Now, when you walk in from this angle, you will see the Native American artifacts and the earliest people of the county. All of the natives and also the river, because the river was a very, very important part of the Native American landscape. It was called Kankakee, or different words, wonderful land or beautiful land, that the Indians called it, because the Kankakee River was a lot swampier, and they did hunting and fishing primarily on the river. And then when the settlers came, kind of drowned out the swampiness a little bit and made it more navigable. All right. So over here we also have faces of Kankakee County. We have materials here that if you would like to come and look through old atlases, township information, etc., you're welcome to do that on your own. We have atlases and books and pictures, things like that. You're welcome to come and look. With the pioneers in this area, Gordon Hubbard plays a vital role in Kankakee County. He's kind of a person who has land negotiated by the government from the Indians and then sold to private people in the county. And then our mannequins to represent a lady and a train conductor, because the railroad, the Illinois Central Railroad, played an absolute vital role in development of not only Kankakee and the county, but Chavance and Clifton, other towns in the area. So we have the map here of Kankakee County in Iroquois. So you see the route of the railroad. You can see it a little bit better in this one. And the railroad actually made a lot of these towns. Now, what they did was, when Kankakee and Moment were negotiating between which town was going to get the county seat, there was a lot of tussle between the two towns. Now, if they went Moment, they would have to go here, all the way over here, and back around and down the railroad. So they said, no, we're going to go straight down and make Kankakee right on the river. And so the railroad can go straight down, and Kankakee will be the winner for the county seat. Once the railroad was in place, then goods could be shipped. Grain and agricultural products could be shipped. They didn't have to worry about doing it by hand, by wagon, etc. It made commerce and agriculture a lot easier for people. Once the county got started and people started to settle in the towns, the idea of tourism kind of became popular. Before that, people did not think of vacation time. They were busy getting their land and doing their own things to survive. So what ended up happening is Len Small was a contributor to today's county fair, which is located south of town. But the original county fair was in a place that it has woods today. It's in Fair Street next to Soldier Creek on one side and Mount Grove Cemetery on the other with some houses in the middle, and the rest is all woods, all the way up to the other segment of Soldier Creek in Bradley. Now, Brookmont Boulevard goes through that. Now, there was no Brookmont Boulevard there. There was no factory on one side. It was just all called the Interstate Fair or the District Fair. Now, they had all the things that we think of today for a county fair, but they also had something special. They had race horse harness racing track. So that was a main attraction. Today we have auto racing of sorts for the main attraction. So they had harness racing. Now the idea of boating, and ice skating in the wintertime, getting out from life and just kind of enjoying life a little bit, was slowly becoming popular. Now, one place that was definitely part of the tourism trade was called Riverview Hotel. And this hotel actually stood in the Riverview neighborhood, about a block or so from the Frank Lloyd Wright House today. Now, this house was 1887 to 1897. And it burned. And you see a picture of it on opening day, 1887. And then we'll have a picture of it burned. And it took only 1 hour. Why would they build that where the Riverview neighborhood is? Well, that neighborhood was all owned by Emery Cobb at the time. And it was all woods. Now, he owned a lot of land, almost all the way up to where Roma Park is. And he wanted to help bring the idea of summer vacation down to Kankakee from the northern suburbs. So we thought, bring people down on the train, give them a discount, and then you can have lawn bowling, croquet, you can go for walks in the park, you can go to the different theaters in town for a night on the town. It was absolute luxury for its time. It had hot water, had your own bathroom, your own suite. Absolute wonderful. Now, it only lasted a few years of relative success. But then over the years of bust and boom in the economy, it went downhill. So Emery Cobb remodeled some of the interior to make apartments. And some of the prominent people in town stayed all year. Now there was a fire, and back then when they didn't know what caused the fire, they just say spontaneous combustion. So it started in the kitchen area. Now we'll show you in photographs the plans for all the floor plans, and then pictures of the verandas on the other side. Also up here, we have a photograph of Len Small when he was younger, advertising for the district fair. We have Gowger's Grove, which was near Aroma Park, and it was very similar to Electric Park, where the marina is today. That open field, that's where Electric Park was. And so they kind of were rivals. Now, Electric Park, also by Emery Cobb, they had electric lights. 1874 was their beginning date, and they ran to about 1935, 36 or so. And they had a roller coaster, and they had all the idea of a carnival coming to town, only it was permanent in that area. And also the bicycle club. Now, Gowger's Grove also was a competitor, but they didn't have nearly quite as much. It was more of a camping or rent a cabin or a day trip for a picnic area. Electric Park was more of the day, more of a lot of entertainment for the family. Another thing of our area that showed that a little bit of people getting out in the town, slowly becoming more of a social scene, were the theaters. Now, I'll only talk a little bit about these. We had several theaters at the time. This was an old one, the Opera House, not there anymore. That's not there anymore, the Princess. Luna's not there. But we have Paramount, and we used to have other ones. But Jack Lacey and I did a podcast all on theaters, so you can catch that for all the details. This area here, we have different pieces from different churches and homes, local historic homes, churches in the area. We had actually a lot of churches. The first thing that people built was their house, and then they built a church. Downtown Kankakee, we have several that are original from the beginning of the town, and almost all of them are still running today in existence. So there's a lot to talk about on that, so you can do research on that. A little bit long for me to talk about in this video. When the agriculture of the county started to become more productive and goods were able to get to places easier, the rise of industry came to the county, mostly in Bradley and Kankakee, a little bit in Moments, maybe some smaller places, smaller towns had a rise in industry. Some of the big factories are no longer here, but were back in the day, employed a lot of people. Brailer Furniture Factory in Bradley was a humongous factory, and they did mostly, I think, bed furniture. That building and David Bradley both had fires in the late 1980s that destroyed about half of each of their respective buildings. Also, the hospitals, St. Mary's Hospital, emerged in the late 1890s. It was a house across from St. Mary's. It was a Catholic hospital. Now it's obviously has grown. It wasn't until about the 1960s, I think 64 or 63, where Riverside Hospital first had its roots, and definitely has grown a lot since then. So the medical industry, I mentioned Kankakee State Hospital, that was in the late 1880s. Manteno State Hospital, the other mental hospital in the county, also 1929. So we had development in the medical field as well. That is Kankakee State Hospital there. And we also had two smaller ones. We had two hospitals that were in houses that did not last very long. This section just shows a little bit of artifacts and information for places like Kankakee Brewery. We have more artifacts and information in another room that I will take on in another video. But that was one of the major factories in town that brewed its own beer. Bradley emerged in 1892 from land purchased by Alva Perry. That was originally part of, the original plan of Bradley was part of Perry Farm. So a businessman named J. Herman Hardebeck purchased the land in order to get businesses and factories to come down to this area and rival Kankakee for kind of industrial supremacy, who can have more industry. So it was a rival between the two. From horses to horsepower, the idea of horse and buggy, to the vehicle. Some people thought the vehicle was just a fad and it was here to stay, here and gone, but it stayed. So we have the early model from this, and then we had rail, and then we had vehicles. We also had a lot of banks. Some of the earliest businesses downtown were banks. So this is from the City National Bank. You probably know the building. It's on the corner of Schuyler and Court Street. Tall building, really tall. It now holds the Kankakee County offices, but this was from them. Used to be the gate there. Bradley was North Kankakee before it was named Bradley. So Hardebeck said to David Bradley, who had a farm implements company up in the Chicago suburbs, he said, "Oh, come down to our area and build your factory down here. We would love to have your business." So David Bradley said, "Okay, but I want the name of the town changed to Bradley." And Hardebeck said, "Okay." So, named from North Kankakee to Bradley. First it was Bradley City, Bradley Depot, and then just Bradley. So we had a couple other factories as well. Joseph Truck Manufacturing and James Madison Company. Originally Ideal Folding Bed Company. So, on West Avenue of Bradley and the railroad tracks, and then the other side where the creek is, where some shops are, and ComEd, those sections are where the industry was in Kankakee. There was also where the Little League field was also a factory that burned. We also accounted for the commerce in the area. Now, downtown Kankakee was beginning to fill with businesses, all kinds of retail businesses, meat shops, department stores, canned goods, tailors, millinery shops, candy shops, all kinds of different shops that became popular in downtown Kankakee. So we have an assortment of items here that account for that. Hopefully I gave you an idea of Kankakee County and its origins and how it really developed. If you can come in, great. If not, if you'd like to do research, please contact me. Until next time on Where Are We Wednesday, thank you for joining me.